Welcome and welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. We are talking about September, which is crazy, isn't it? This is a reading for the sign of Taurus. I hope that you're doing well. Just one announcement. I am offering personal readings now. You can find the information for those in the description box below. They're on my website. Just wanted to let you know that they are available. Is that it? I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. If it comes to me, we'll talk about it. But it's so interesting. Like, these readings have been bugging me to do them for like a week now, which is fine. It's been a good bug. And this deck, yeah, I'm like, we're all about consent on this channel. So every time, I do a tarot reading, I ask the cards if it even wants to give a message. And, I'll shuffle the deck until like a yes or no card comes out. And I shuffled like 3 decks prior to this one, and they were all an instant no. And this one, immediately it was the Sun and the 10 of Cups that came out. So I just think that's so cool. I love that. Okay, anyway, not that you guys care about like any of that, but let's shuffle with a little bit more intention here. We're looking for a message for Taurus for September. There we go. All right. Here we go. We have the 8 of Wands. I'm only laughing because I think that card popped out at some point. We have the Ace of Swords. Oops. The Knight of Wands. King of Swords. Queen of Chalices or Queen of Cups. Oh, my Lanta, and the Sun card. Oh, we have the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Temperance. Okay. Oops. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, sorry. I was just kind of staring at the cards here for a second. I feel like I'm kind of being like pinballed all over the place here, but of course we'll go through each one of the cards as we do. It definitely feels like something is coming together here though. Like, okay, so we start with the 8 of Wands. And the 8 of Wands is generally like fast-moving communication, either to you or you're communicating. Wands signify action, communication. I also see them as the cards of information too. It's the act of actually trying something. Right? And I love that we start with the 8 of Wands because that means like something is moving forward here. And for whatever reason, like I'm feeling the need to, like in a couple readings, not even all of them, but for whatever reason, I'm feeling this need to say that these readings, of course, like, they're by month. And I think, like, of course, like my OCD brain is just easy to categorize them that way. But of course, I mean, like the message, it could be now. It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically, from September 1st to the end of September. But I love that, this Eight of Wands is, like I said, the first card, and we end with the effing Sun card. Are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. So yeah, Eight of Wands, right? Moving forward. It could even be communicating what you're doing. Like, you may just find yourself at a place where you do finally want to tell people or share with people what you're doing. Because, like there's no obligation for you to tell anybody shit, right? Like, I'm one of those people that I'm a complete open book. Like for a long time, I didn't really have a ton of, I don't want to say secrets, because I feel like, there's a connotation that comes with, like the word secrets. But I would just like constantly be telling people what I'm doing. And it just kind of, there came a point where I was like, I really don't need to do that. And I think, like I was also seeking validation, or sometimes even like permission, like, yeah, I should be doing this thing or not, which prevented me from doing a lot of things. Anyway, this Eight of Wands has taken me on a journey. Like I said before, I feel like I'm being kind of ping-ponged all over the place. So let's move on from the Eight of Wands. Like, let me get out of the weeds here. I know these aren't weeds, but it's like, yeah, I could hang out in that forest all day. So we move on here with the King of Swords. And, the King of Swords talks about mental clarity. There's also a discipline that comes with the King of Swords. And of course, when we're talking about the King, it's the highest expression of the suit. Swords have to do with our thoughts, our mind, how we perceive our realities. It's also like, I see them as the suit of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego, is in our minds. And I love that we also have the Ace of Swords out here, because the King is holding the Ace of Swords, which is, divine truth, honesty. It is, like new ideas, new perspectives. And I love on this card, there's all of these butterflies here, and butterflies signify transformation. And it's kind of, like they're like fluttering away, right? So, I mean, there could be some sort of new inspiration, or you could just be acting on your inspiration. Like, you have clarity of what you want to do, the direction that you're heading in, how you're going to do it. And the Eight of Wands would be actually going out and doing it, like moving forward with it. And then we have the Ace of Swords. Like I said, it's the sword of truth. It's new ideas, new perspectives. With the Queen of Cups here, I love that it's paired with a queen, because the queens, for me, like the queens are when we embody the energy of the suit. The king is like when we show that expression externally or with others, and the queens are when we recognize the energy within ourselves. And especially with the Queen of Cups, like there's so many, the Queen of Cups talks about healing, compassion, intuition, and, even psychic ability. So, there could be an expansion with that. And I love how she's holding this cup here at the heart space, almost meditating on it. Still connected to feeling like, connected to the emotional body, really heart center focused here. There could be a heart chakra healing or opening for that matter. But again, like this new, whatever the Ace of Swords would be for you, it is literally manifested like directly from you. It doesn't even probably have anything to do with either anything that's been done or the way that you have been doing things in the past. Like it would be an idea, a thought, perspective that is literally brought directly from your heart center. Which honestly is so beautiful. I mean, you could even be looking at yourself differently, like taking a true, honest, objective look at yourself. What makes you tick? What makes you feel good? I always say, well, I do always say, but I'll go wherever the energy takes me as long as it feels good. And that's kind of, like the Queen of Cups, because of course, with the water, it's being in flow, like allowing your intuition to guide you. But again, like being really heart-centered. Does this feel good? And if it does, great. If it does not, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. It's 2022, right? Like we're not doing things that don't feel good anymore. Of course, if they are accessible, right? I mean, I know that's not always the case. And then we move on to the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands, it's interesting because the Eight of Wands is going to do it, right? Like they are going to, the Eight of Wands is moving forward. It's fast moving, cyber speed type stuff, right? I mean, this could literally even be some sort of communication online, social media, something along those lines. And the Knight of Wands is like the literal, how do I want to say it? It's like, the energy to embody when doing, because of course with the wands, like that is the action card. So it does take actually doing something in order to see if you like it. And the Knight of Wands is going to be like, there's this adventurous energy, seeing it as an adventure. There's a curiosity to them too. I don't know, for whatever reason. Let me just see what the Knight of Wands may portend of a surge in confidence and energy, the fire catching from the spark of the page. But do not depend on the initial fervent swell to see you through to the end. Ultimately, a disciplined strategy will pay greater dividends than a short-lived burst of enthusiasm. Focus on the vision at hand and ask yourself if you are being passionate or merely brash. Very interesting. Because, yeah, I mean, we can see these bursts here, right? And it's almost like it's carrying the figure. This really just, it feels like it's like, don't quit before you see something pay off. The Sun card is literally like every good feeling you could ever think of. It's also life force energy. So it's like, with this pairing, it's like you have your hopes and your dreams and the outcome of your goal in mind while doing this thing. But I think, just having that feeling to read from the book, I think it's a good reminder that if it doesn't take off in a way that you expect, like right from the beginning, right? Which is pretty much the rule, like I think a lot of people, we get stuck in thinking that, an idea is just going to take off like wildfire right away, or, something that we want to do, or like art or whatever, like some sort of offering. And it's like, we think that as soon as we put it out into the world, that all of a sudden, like I said, it's just going to take off. But most times it doesn't, not right away. Not right away, which is great. And especially for Taurus too, right? Because it's going to take us a while to get to a place where we're going to move this quick, right? We have to have like a secure foundation, feel like we have enough information. We've thought about all of the possibilities, right? It's kind of like, we have to get our mind in order, so it's a process for Taurus. I'm saying that as a Taurus sun. So, there's this process that kind of has to happen. And, if we just kind of think that as soon as we put it out there, it's just, like I said, just going to kind of take off like wildfire, because we have this energy behind it where we're excited, we have this confidence, right? Like we love the thing, we're clear about it, we have this cool new idea, whatever it is. And maybe you don't get the response up front that you were expecting. So we automatically just kind of think, well, it was a dud. No, absolutely not. So like I said, I think reading that from the book, it's this great reminder to just do it. Again, if it feels good for you, focus on that. Like if it's something that you still want to do, regardless of if you're getting a response out of it or not. And this can literally be anything. I mean, it can literally be anything. But just keep doing it. If it's accessible, just keep doing it because it feels good. And eventually the response that you hope for or the response that you want will show up. But not if you quit before it even gets a chance to get there, right? Because we have the sun here, which says to me that it will pay off. You will be happy with the outcome. It will bring you joy. And like I said, the sun is life force energy too. So, this rebirth, or even just feeling like a burst of energy. And again, too, with this pairing, it's like you have the literal sun, that a fireball, right, behind you to, kind of keep giving you energy. So yeah, like having the sun backing you up, again, it's like allowing and I actually, yeah, okay. I was like, I think I saw Temperance behind here. I kind of wanted to read the King of Swords. Okay, because before I do that, the cool thing about these cards is that they, it's like the story that kind of keeps going. So it's interesting. I'm just kind of curious, like what's going on here, Are they trying to steal these geese or what? Let's see. It takes a great man not just to fight evil, but to subsume it, divert it, and use it for good. Such an immense task calls for impeccable character and keen clarity of purpose. Realism and ingenuity are your greatest weapons when faced with a mighty foe. Do not let good sense to become clouded with emotions. Face the facts with cold stoicism and find the best way to proceed. The answer may be simpler than you think. And then the Queen says, when you see the Queen in a reading, it is time to rein in your demons. You no longer have the excuse of inexperience, arrogance, or even fear. Use your immense intelligence and love of truth to conquer what plagues you. When you do, you'll be able to access matters of the heart with cool mental clarity and grace. Okay, I'm glad I read that. It's interesting, like with this card, what we just read about facing your demons. It's kind of that thing of like, feel the fear and do it anyway. I also love how the only swords cards that we have out here are the King, the Queen, and the Ace of Swords. There could be a divine counterpart here with the King and the Queen. I'm throwing that out there. And of course, it would be like you have the same values and morals, right? Like, you would kind of connect by intelligence and philosophy type things, right? But even with the Queen of Swords coming after the Knight of Wands and the Sun, again, like I was saying, it's like, don't allow those self-limiting beliefs, like those gremlins, as Brene Brown calls them, like don't allow those things to control what you do. Like it's hard to say, don't let them come up, because those things are powerful, but don't allow them to dictate what you're doing so much, because we also have Temperance back here. Temperance talks about energies coming together. It's alchemy, right? So like I was saying, if the thing that you're doing doesn't give you the return that you were hoping for, just know it's because behind the scenes and energetically, there's this recalibration thing happening. Like now that you've put the thing out there, and again, it could be whatever the thing is, like, it could be getting on a dating site. It could be starting to look for a new job. It could be, networking, or finding community, right? Like it could literally be anything, but it's like now that you've put the energy out there, you put the call out, right? Now it's up to the universe juice to recalibrate, alchemize to that request, right? It's lining up the right people or the right person who also is looking for, whose energy matches yours, basically. Like clients, right? Or again, it could literally, finding a new job. I think I already said, if you want to start working with people in some capacity, it's like the right people, the right quote unquote people seeing what you're putting out there. And we have the Haven card, which is specific to this deck. And let me just see what it says. Tucked away in a thick forest, a humble wooden house emits a warm glow. Light spills from beneath the door and radiates from behind a stained glass window. A cold wind blows through the night air, and as the crescent moon hangs high in the starry sky, the Haven calls you closer into safety. Trudging through the unconquerable forest has left you tired and in need of serious rejuvenation. When you see the Haven in a reading, it is a strong sign to pause for a moment of rest. You have worked tirelessly for too long and are nearing complete exhaustion. The outside world has not offered any shelter from this barrage of unfortunate events and looming catastrophes. If you take your time to seek refuge and focus on self-care, you will certainly find yourself ahead in the end. Love that. And also how very Taurus too, like just with the comfort thing. And also the reminder of rest, because, rest is just as important as the hustle, right? So, there's clearly this movement forward. It is going to pay off in the long run. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.